Well, I'm joined now from Birmingham by the Business Secretary, Vince Cable, where he's about to give a speech on Europe, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But I just want to briefly deal with Google and tax, because in the past you've defended Starbucks, but you seem to have joined the attack on Google, and I just wondered why that was.
Well, I didn't defend Starbucks. I just said let's look at the facts, and if companies do earn significant profits in Britain, they should pay tax in Britain. So we should be guided by the evidence. On the Google issue, I think we should be grateful to the Select Committee. They've unearthed a lot of material, and they have described behaviour which, as far as I can understand, isn't illegal, but it may be immoral.
But do you agree the HMRC are getting it wrong? Which is what
I don't
Margaret
think
Hodge is saying.
Well, the HMRC are there to enforce the law, and if the company have managed to operate legally, then it's not a failure by HMRC. I think we do have a job to do at a national level of making sure that systematic tax avoidance, even if it's legal, is avoided if it goes against the will of Parliament. That's why we're putting through this general anti-avoidance rule for individuals and companies. But I think the main action now has to take place in the G8 meeting, the summit, because this has to be tackled internationally. You can't have these big companies playing off one country against another. So
there's no British law that you can pass that can make Google pay more tax that you would want to do?
Well, you couldn't do it retrospectively anyway, but I think a general anti-avoidance rule that makes it clear that if companies or individuals go out of their way to contrive complex arrangements designed to defy tax law in Parliament, that would indeed be an offence. But of course that's for the future rather than the past. What
message do you think that will send to foreign investors or businesses thinking of coming here?
I think good companies will want to invest here for good reason. I mean, I'm thinking it also from the point of view of small, medium-sized companies in Britain that don't have the luxury of moving around the world and do pay their taxes here, whether it's national insurance or income tax or corporation tax, and we have to think about the basic integrity of the system.
OK, let's turn to Europe. You're pretty frustrated with your Conservative colleagues, by the sound of it. Are you able to tell them that in Cabinet?
Well, it's a terrible diversion. I think it is, yes, and it relates to the issue you just raised with me. I'm meeting a business group in Birmingham this evening, many of them manufacturing companies who sell into the European Union. It's our biggest market. I think in the country as a whole, probably something of the order of 3.5 million people have their livelihood dependent on those exports. When you create massive uncertainty around our future, the possibility of an out that could mean having to trade across regulatory and tariff barriers, you create a lot of risk, and we're just emerging from a very serious economic crisis. Confidence isn't yet high, and this is just an aggravation that the country can do without.
I think David Cameron said you got your head in the sand, didn't he? Where do you think his head's?
Well, I mean, David Cameron has been taken a very clear position, as I understand it, at least until today, that Britain should remain within the European Union. He wants to see it reformed, so do we. Parliament has already agreed. This is why this issue about the Parliament Members' Bill is such a distraction. Parliament's already agreed under this government that we are going to proceed with a referendum if our relations with Europe change. We spent about 100 days debating it, came to a conclusion. Both governing parties are committed to implementing that, depending on how circumstances evolve. I don't see why we need to reopen this issue all over again.
I mean, relations do seem to have deteriorated a bit. I mean, Michael Gove was out at the weekend alleging that you've got Lord Oakeshott out on manoeuvres trying to push your case for the leadership of the party.
Well, that was silly,
is that true, or is he up to mischief?
Completely untrue. There's absolutely no substance in that whatever. He was simply trying to divert attention from his own activities, and that wasn't helpful. The vast majority of us in the Cabinet work together very well. Pardon?
Have you told him, Michael Gove?
I haven't met him since, but I certainly will.
Vince Cable, thank you very much.